Dear chess lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to see the game from Tata Steel Masters 2022. Two young Indian players, Praggnanandhaa versus Vidit Santosh Gujrathi. This game happened on yesterday. It's a long game. Praggnanandhaa win this game, but after 35 moves, he faced some time pressure. Up to finishing 40 moves, then he gets some increment timing. Okay, we'll see what happened on the game. Vidit Santosh Gujrathi played with white pieces. Praggnanandhaa played with black pieces. Vidit started with d4. Pragg plays knight f6, then c4, e6, and knight c3, bishop to b4, Nimzo Indian. Here Vidit plays queen c2, then castle a3. After bishop takes c3, queen takes c3. Here Praggnanandhaa plays d5. Now bishop g5, c5. After d takes c5, Pragg plays d4. Now queen f3. Idea: bishop takes f6, queen takes f6. After queen takes f6, pawn takes f6. For this reason, Pragg plays knight b d7 to defend the knight on f6. Now e3. Then h6. After bishop takes f6, knight takes f6. Vidit goes to queenside castle. Now e5. After knight e2, select pawn takes d4. Then d3. After knight to c3, here Praggnanandhaa goes to bishop g4. Now after rook takes d3, Pragg goes queen a5. Here please pause the video and try to find what if bishop takes f3. If bishop takes f3, then rook takes d8. After rook takes d8, g takes f3. Now black could play with exchange up, but black has two pawns down. For this reason, Pragg did not take the queen on f3. He goes queen a5. Now queen g3, queen takes c5, rook d2. Now bishop e6, b4, queen c8. After queen takes e5, bishop takes c4, king b2. Now a5, then b5, bishop takes f1, rook takes f1. Now queen c4. After rook c1, a4, knight to b1, queen b3 check, then king a1, rook a c8. Here Vidit accepts exchanging the rooks. Rook takes c8, then rook takes c8. Now queen to f5. Now there is a rook under attack on c8. Then Pragg plays queen c4 to defend the rook on c8. Now rook to d4. Here Pragg goes to queen c7, but engine is suggesting queen c1 is best move. Then g3, b6, rook takes a4, knight to d7, now rook e4. After g6, queen f4, asking exchange of the queens, but Pragg plays queen c5. Here Vidit made a mistake, which is queen takes h6. Now the game is totally changed. Because queen is in corner of the board, their king is little bit exposed and not that much safety. Pragg goes to queen takes b5, a4. After queen c6, Vidit made a mistake, queen f4. Here best move is queen h4. After queen h4, knight c5. Now white could manage something, but Vidit goes to queen f4, then knight c5. After rook c4, here please pause the video and try to find the good move for black. Yes, which is rook a8. But in this game, because of time pressure, Praggnanandhaa goes to rook d8 because he has only 2 more minutes. After rook d8, white has some chances to hold the game. But once again, here Vidit also made a mistake, which is rook c2. Best move is rook b4, but Vidit goes to rook c2. But once again, because of time pressure, Pragg missed the move rook a8. He goes queen h1. Now queen b4. Knight takes a4. Here please pause the video and try to find what if queen takes a4. Yes, there is a pin on rook a8. So Vidit plays rook d2, asking exchange the rooks. But once again, Pragg missed the chance rook a8. He goes again rook c8. Now queen e7. Now please pause the video and try to find what is white's plan. Yes, white's plan is rook to d8, asking exchange the rooks. But here Prague played queen a8. Rook a2 is forced to move, otherwise there is a discovered check. Then b5. Here engine is suggesting f4 is good move, but Vidit goes to queen b4. Then once again queen h1. Rook a3. Here Prague takes the pawn on h2, which is a mistake move. Then after queen d2, queen to h5, f4, now queen f5, which is also a mistake move. Then queen d3. Vidit is asking exchange the queens or rooks continuously, but Prague goes to queen f6 check. Then again queen d4, asking exchange the queens. Now queen to e7, rook b3, again rook a8. Now rook a3 is forced. Here Prague missed the move pawn to b4. He goes to rook d8. After queen e5, now Prague accepted the queen exchange. Queen takes e5, f takes e5, then rook e8. Now rook b3. After rook takes e5, knight a3, now knight to c5. Here after rook takes b5, rook takes e3. Now if white goes to exchange the knights, then rook ending will be favor for black. So Vidit goes to knight c4, rook e1 check. After king b2, knight to e4. Attacking the pawn on g3. Now Vidit goes to g4. Again a rook e2 check. After king c1, now knight f2. One more time attacking the pawn on g4. Vidit goes to g5. Now king g7. After knight d2, rook e8. Once again he is facing time pressure. He is playing with the seconds. Then king b2, rook to c8. After rook d5, knight d1 check, king a3, knight to e3, attacking the rook. Now Vidit goes to rook d3. Then knight to c4 check, forking their king and knight. After king b4, successfully Prague exchanges the knights and enter into rook endgame. Now Prague goes to rook c1. Both players are playing with time pressure. Then Vidit goes to rook a2. Then king g8, gaining some increment seconds. Now rook a8 check. After king h7, rook a2, king g7. Now rook a5. After king f8, rook a7, king e8, rook a5. Now king to d7. Now rook a6, after king e7, rook a2, king e6. Now after rook a5, rook f1, rook a6 check, king to e5, rook to a5 check, king to f4. After king c3, king g4. Now Vidit resign the game because there is a rook f5 waiting. Then after rook exchange or keeping the rooks are no use because the white will lose the pawn on g5. Then two pawns are not stoppable. One more extraordinary game from Praggnanandhaa, but Vidit disappointed. Anyway, very good game from two young Indian players. Extraordinary stuff from Praggnanandhaa. I'll try to post more games from Tata Steel Masters 2022. Please support my channel with subscribe, like and share. See you on next game.